Well, the Prime Minister is under pressure again this morning. This time he's being asked to explain whether he raised a military incident with Xi Jinping where Australian divers were injured by sonar pulses that came from a Chinese warship. Joining us live is ASPI Senior Analyst Malcolm Davis. Malcolm, good to see you. First of all, can you explain for our audience how a diver might become injured from a sonar pulse?
Well, if you have a warship that's using active sonar, in other words, is projecting sonar energy through the water to identify and target a location, you've got a human in the water that would be bombarded with intense audio energy that would enter their eardrums. I'm not a medical doctor, but I can tell you now that would cause immense pain whilst they're underwater, because water amplifies sound. That's how sonar works. And so it could be quite serious if it's close enough, in the sense that you could have damage to the hearing of the diver. So Chinese did this. They activated active sonar. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew there were divers in the water. They knew the result they wanted to get.
Dangerous and aggressive. I mean, James Patterson sounds like he's right on this one. So, I mean, it could be deadly for someone underwater.
It could, if it's close enough. It could actually cause a problem with the brain. So the Chinese knew the divers were in the water. The Australian warship warned them of that, and they made it very clear multiple times. The Chinese acknowledged those warnings and then continued to move the ship closer, and then activated their active sonar, knowing full well the effect that would have on the divers in the water.
Okay, so does the Prime Minister need to come clean on whether he told Xi Jinping or not at APEC about it?
I think he should. I think he owes the nation an explanation as to, firstly, what was said between himself and Xi Jinping at APEC on this. I would have hoped that he would have raised it with Xi Jinping, because he knew about it the day before he went to APEC. I can't imagine that he would not have been told about this incident. So I would have hoped that, given that we are supposedly trying to stabilize the relationship, where the Prime Minister talks about engage where we can and disagree with where we must, that he would have actually raised this with Xi Jinping and indicated, at the very least, that this was dangerous and irresponsible actions on the part of the Chinese Navy.
Well, I mean, even if he didn't know about it, then that, as Jackie Lambie just pointed out, that would point to some kind of breakdown in communication between him and his defence minister, would it not?
Oh, look, it is inconceivable that he did not know about it, because this was essentially an attack on Australian military personnel in international waters, unprovoked, by China. The information that this had happened would have been communicated straight back to JOC HQ near Bungendore. Department of Defence would have then been alerted, and Richard Marles would have known, so therefore he would have gone to the Prime Minister. So I don't believe that Prime Minister Albanese did not know about this.
Yeah, and this will, we expect, would be confirmed later on the day, where we know a few more details. But a reminder at the end of the day, despite this relationship that's becoming a little closer, that issues aren't very far away, Malcolm.
Exactly. I mean, the what I call Kung Fu Panda diplomacy in Beijing recently, that talked about trade and talked about stabilizing the relationship. Well, it hasn't changed the key strategic issues that cause the tension. It hasn't changed China's attitudes in regards to Taiwan, hasn't changed their provocative actions in the South China Sea, and we're now seeing this latest incident as an indicative of that. It hasn't changed China's willingness to engage in intellectual property theft or interfere in the internal affairs of other states, including Australia. So I think that we need to be very careful in assuming that somehow this is a reset to past times where things were a lot more stable. I don't believe that this so-called stabilization actually stabilizes. I think it sets the ground for China demanding more concessions from Australia.
Okay, Malcolm Davis, thanks for your time as always.